Hi, this is Psychic Linda Humphreys, third generation gifted. I've been doing psychic readings, past life regressions, channeling sessions where I talk to your relatives ever since I was 13 years old. And I'm a young child right now of 63. The thing I came to talk to you about today is the past life regressions. I've had people come to me that told me they can't get along with their mother-in-laws. And when I look into the story, I realized that the young man took the daughter away from the mother in a past life. And that child was young, because in the days and the nights of the ladies, you didn't marry unless mommy and daddy approved of the man. And a lot of times the ladies fell in love with gypsies, they fell in love with farmers, they fell in love with people beneath their station. So when I get done telling them about their past lives through a past life reading, the young men realize that it is nothing that they have done in this lifetime that has made their mother-in-laws not care about them. It is from past lifetime when the mother was left in the castle to serve her husband as her daughter would have been to serve her husband. And instead the daughter went off with the man she adored and was happy. So for those of you who have phobias, or the one lady that came to me that was 400 pounds, she was tipping the scale. She was depressed. She felt alone, and she felt like everybody looked at her. When I went to her house, she had 2 freezers, 2 refrigerators, and at first I thought she was like my Aunt Maudie. She just never threw anything out when it was working, and she kept extra stuff until she could find somebody to give it to. But this woman had food in everything she kept, because there was an inner need to make sure she kept herself fed. After 2 years of being client and psychic and then friends, I asked her if she would mind if I do a reading about a past life for her as my gift to her for the 1.5 years plus of counseling I had done. I guaranteed her that I thought what I was seeing was the truth. As I was talking to her, and she was sitting on the couch across from me, she began to relax, close her eyes, and fall back. As I was telling her about being a young man in the potato famine days, and how she served a man who was very wealthy, who did not have to worry about his family eating, and that she would get him coal and stock his furnace. She would get him firewood for his fireplace. She would work as his indentured servant in exchange for potatoes for her family, in exchange for meat for her family. And he would pay her a penance of what she was worth as a little boy, working and working and working. That when she would get home, she could not afford to eat what she took to her family. Instead, she let them eat. And if he did not see her working fast enough as that little boy, she would get hit by his canes in the sides of the knees. My friend also suffered for having both knees replaced. The sad tale is I had never thought about doing a past life regression for her, because she thought it all came from this lifetime, from boyfriends, from family relationships. And until I did meditation and did prayers and got the answer of going back and looking at what she'd been in and been through, and I saw her as that little boy with the stockings and the high buttoned pants shut and waiting on this man with these canes that had the nice tips on them that he would hold like this with the marble tops, and he would hit, and he would punish her. That was when I realized there was something wrong with that. I also had a client who over the years we became friends, and she discussed with me her fear of driving. And I went back and reviewed the history of her getting jobs. And until her 2 children were born, she would drive all over in high traffic, even in New York City on vacations. Then in prayer and in meditation, my guides and the angels that work with me showed me her getting hit by a beer truck with 2 young children, a boy and a girl, and that she was killed instantly, leaving those children without a mother. It was this lifetime in which the second her last child was born, she became paranoid of driving, paranoid of being on the highway, especially when trucks came near. So, again, a past lifetime has stopped someone. I had another client who, when she traveled on the road, she would barricade herself in and lock herself in. When I did her regression for her, because she knew she needed a regression, as we were getting to the point of her locking herself in the room and she could hear the soldiers coming towards her, I stopped the regression instantly, because I knew she was taken away from her 2 girls and taken to Auschwitz. And I could see what happened there. So in doing a regression with me, I can see in advance where you will be going. If it is something that is painful, I can talk you into coming out of the regression if you're wanting to do it by being taken down and regressed. If I'm reading it to you, as if I'm reading your biography to you, then what I do is I will go over what has happened that causes you to behave the way you behave this lifetime. And I will tell you that we are washing and we are cutting the umbilical cords, cutting. The same as when you're with toxic people in your workplace. You need to cut and get rid of. In my case, I worked at a place for a lot of years where we were union, and my union fellow workers voted to freeze my salary for 10 years. After they voted that and got the board to approve it, my back here hurt all the way through to the front of my chest. I had to go to physical therapy and have physical therapists work on me. After that first stab in the back, then every time friends, boyfriends, anyone would stab me in the back, I would hurt. I then found a psychic who drew my past life portrait. Oh, this is you and this is all there is about you. Oh, Linda, we were together that lifetime. We were fabulous. We were this, we were that. Oh, here it is. Hands it to me. I looked at the picture. That obviously was me. I was a knight. I was pretty good looking. Long black hair, pretty green eyes. The women all loved me. I was sure of it. But the story was totally wrong. I served Pope John Paul II during that lifetime when he was Pope. I definitely remembered being in Italy. The picture he drew for me fit the Italian clothing during the 11th century. Everything he drew fit what I could remember without regressing. I had a good friend, a wonderful psychic, who regressed to me. When I got to the point where I was stabbed through with a bastard sword, I stood up in my home, which was built in 1862, went against the wall and shoved the sword back through me. After doing that, I went for surgery on my adenoids and ran into the doctor, who was the knight who had saved me by helping doctor me when he found me. He immediately recognized me and he said, Sir Michael, when he walked into the room. I then said, Sir Richard. And his secretary looked at us like we were a little bit off, which I'm not too sure we weren't, but it was okay. He then told the anesthetist before our surgery that this is my friend. He was Sir Michael. He was a knight. I said, and he was a knight. And she probably thought once a night is enough and let's do her surgery because I'm not sure what's happening here. But it's the truth. After that day, I may get a twinge underneath my scap muscle of somebody stabbing me in the back, but it doesn't hurt all the way through and I don't go to physical therapy. But there are a lot of people that will starve themselves, will overeat, will immediately fall in love with someone they meet from a past life because it's programmed into us to be what our past life is about or to avoid doing what our past life led us to do. But that is also why if you have a grandson or a granddaughter and they want to wear certain clothes at certain times and they think they are hot stuff, look at what they were like before. They might have been an important businessman that had to always look good. They might have been someone who ran a business as a woman who designed clothes. My one girlfriend's grandson at the age of 2 was negotiating with her what food to eat. And if he wasn't eating that, he was eating the other food. And not that, how about that? If not that, how about that? But he wasn't giving up till he chose what he was eating. And right now, he runs a computer company in Kansas City. So when I met her way back in the 80s and I told her, be careful about Chris. He is going to go somewhere. Don't worry about it. When he's 27, he can afford to buy you a house. She looked at me like I was crazy, but he offered her a house. So like I said, our past lives influence who we were and who we are now. My past life serving John Paul as a knight leads me to be mad when people don't treat people with respect. The fact that I'm a very religious person and that I've seen karma happen lets me know that if you do good for people, good comes to you. So if you're curious about what you were in a past life, who you were in a past life, not all past lives are bad. Come, see me. But first, get on my website. It will tell you what the charges are. It will tell you the different ways I do it. If you can be relaxed, I can walk you into it, and you can go to where you've been. I have a good friend that's gone to Medjugorje in her past life and visited with Mother Mary. And this lifetime when she came to my house to do a cleaning and a cleansing of things, my dog Nicholas barked at the 5 faces from past lives that she wanted to get rid of that are around her this lifetime. It was wonderful. So like I said, take it from me. Our past lives are interesting. They influence who we are now, but they don't make our future. What we do now makes our future. God bless. Namaste.